Hamburg. Probably not the first city you think of when you think of Germany, but that's kind of why we're here.
I'm really not sure what to expect.
We're spending time in Germany this fall, exploring the history, the culture, all of it, and Hamburg felt like the right place to actually start digging in. It's industrial, it's gritty, canals cutting through old brick warehouses, cranes on the skyline, and way more graffiti than we ever expected. And there's this museum here, the Miniatur Wunderland, which, according to Guinness World Record, is the largest model railway system in the world. Entire cities built in miniature, airports, mountains, and they even have a full gunfight scene in the American section, which we'll get to that.
You literally push a button, they will start shooting. Jeez Louise.
Hey, I'm Chris, this is Sarah, and that's Kramer, and alright, let's see what Hamburg is all about.
Welcome to Hamburg, Germany. We're enjoying this cinnamon pastry.
So we're starting the day at Elbgold Coffee, and it's not just a coffee shop. They do have just coffee shops around town, but this one's actually the roastery location. When we try coffee in cities, we prefer going to coffee roasters, or at least someone who roasts their coffee. It doesn't have to be the roastery location, but we like to go and try local coffee more in the city, because you can get good coffee just about anywhere in the world. We like to try what's special and unique to that city.
The interesting thing about here in Germany is Kramer is allowed to come with us on the tram, but he has to wear a muzzle.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
Apparently this originated here in Hamburg.
Poor Chris. 9 times out of 10 when we're filming food and he asks me to try it on camera, I forget and I just take a bite before the camera's even rolling. So usually y'all are actually watching my second take. I already tried to bite, but I'm getting what I had coming to me because this is so sticky. It's like all stuck in my teeth now, so I'm trying to talk. I can't. It's called a Franzbrötchen. If you speak German, you are welcome to help me out, but please know that try as I might, it's probably not going to get a lot better than that. So this is a pastry sort of similar to like a cinnamon roll. It's got the swirl and the cinnamon on the inside like a cinnamon roll, but the pastry is like a flaky pastry, kind of like a croissant, but it's flatter than a cinnamon roll, so it's real dense, and then the cinnamon's kind of caramelized, so it's real chewy. Germany's off to a good start.
When you're walking up here, you keep going up flights of steps, and then you turn a corner, you're like, oh, I think I'm almost to the top, and it keeps on going, and you keep on going, and you turn the corner, and you have to go higher and higher. I don't know how many steps this is, but it takes a little bit to get up here. It's a leg burner. When you get to the top, you have 360 views of the entirety of Hamburg. They have a bar, you could have a drink up there, enjoy your time, enjoy the view of the city, because Hamburg itself doesn't have too many skyscrapers. So you're able to see above all the buildings, and it's a beautiful view. This is entirely free. Right now there's a carnival fair happening. You have a pretty cool view of the roller coasters and the spinny thing. I forget what that's called. And this is such an interesting project that they created out of this old bunker. You can walk around sort of inside and read more about the mission and what they're doing about it.
We visited the bunker a few minutes ago, and we walked over to get dinner, and as we were walking, we were talking about what we saw and what we kind of experienced. And I think it kind of, definitely go. It was really interesting. There's not a ton of signage, but it's more of just seeing something so massive that reflects an era of really dark history. I mean, it's been, not even 80 years since the war ended yet? It's not quite, it's almost 80 years. So it's fairly recent. And seeing that up close and then reading about the history of how many people, the people who built it and then the people who stayed in there for the daily air raids in Hamburg, it's hard to see that. Now, we're from America, and so World War II history and like the sites of where battles and where air raids and that kind of thing happened, they're non-existent beyond like Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. And I haven't even been to Pearl Harbor yet. We don't have tons of cities that were just decimated during this massive war. I mean, it definitely impacted people back home. Like a lot of family members and stuff had to come over and they fought in the war and that kind of thing. But it's a very different experience being in America. So maybe people here, like the Europeans, are more I don't want to say used to the idea, because it's obviously something that they recognize was really a really dark time in history, but I think maybe they weren't having that like moment that we were, because it seemed like the only people who were kind of reading the signage or really kind of taking it in and reflecting on it were more of like the senior citizens, so people who were like 80 plus, and I'm guessing maybe those who were either alive during the war or maybe had parents that were alive during the war or something like that. There's a lot of speculation I'm doing right now. But up to the top of the bunker, we had to take turns because dogs are not allowed. So as Chris was up in the top of the bunker and like climbing all the stairs to the top, there's no escalator or elevator unless you're disabled. So you do have to walk all the stairs to the top. So be ready for that. But I sat outside and I was reading about the history of it. And briefly, and correct me if I get something wrong, Hitler ordered for the bunker to be built in 1942, and they had it built within a year. And the people who built it were it was forced labor from places that the Nazi regime had occupied already. And so these people were forced, as men and women, were forced to build this bunker. And then they were never allowed to seek shelter inside of it. So the bunker was originally built to hold 18,000 people, but during the almost daily air raids, it would hold around 30,000 people. So this was like a daily thing. I read that kids were doing their homework inside these little tiny bunker cells, and they each had a card that told them exactly which little cell to go to inside that giant bunker. And it was supposed to be like this representation of like how Germany was beating these air raids and that kind of thing, but it didn't work the way they anticipated, obviously. Now people were kept safe in that, but in the meantime, like the entire city of Hamburg was almost decimated. They lost over 50% of the housing in Hamburg, which Hamburg was a large target for the Allied forces during the war. And I was reading that it was because it was a major port city. They were doing things like U-boats. They were manufacturing a lot of different equipment and that kind of thing for like the German armies. And it was also very easy for the Allied forces to get over here and to bomb it. So they had a lot of air raids. So people would come over from Britain in an easy, quick flight. It was really easy to find Hamburg because it was right on the river and very close to the ocean. So it was just a really easy target. And because of that, it did wipe out a ton of the city and tens of thousands of civilians. After the war, the only way to get rid of the bunker was to use dynamite. And then to use the dynamite on the bunker, it would have actually destroyed a lot of the surrounding neighborhoods that were left. You know, they already had so many people's homes ruined. And they decided to use the bunker after the war as temporary housing. And people lived in the bunker until the 70s. People lived in that thing because there was just such a housing shortage after the war. Now, I say all this to say that like the bunker, they left it because it was sort of a necessity. Now, how they've reinvented it, you know, it's a whole new generation. It's a whole new life after the war. They've put a hotel in the bunker. They have put a restaurant and a cafe on the top. There's like a little mini beer garden where you can sit and get a drink. But then there's signage that says, coming soon, there's going to be victims of the Nazi regime memorial of some sort. Personally, I would have rather seen the memorial come in before they put the Hard Rock Cafe Hotel in. That's my personal preference. I would have prioritized that, but I'm not knocking Germany. I'm just saying that it seems sort of, I don't want to say insensitive. I mean, you already have this massive bunker that stands up out of the ground, and it could serve as a really strong reminder of what has happened and never go back there. But it's also still like a reflection of the dark history. So I would have loved to see the memorial erected before they put in the Hard Rock Hotel, but I'm not the designer there. Hamburg experienced the most destruction of any German city during the war. So a lot of what you see today is very new. And Germany is not the same place that it was 80 years ago. And they've got new architecture and the city's alive and it's just a totally different place. So by all means come, but just know that there is that side of history and I encourage you to learn it. Don't just learn the history that's easier to learn. Like we're in Germany and I was kind of curious like how much the history of the war would be represented because it's obviously like, how do I say this politically correct? They weren't the good guys in the war. And so, like, I think pretty much everybody recognizes, like, what happened here was crime upon crime upon crime. Like, awful things were happening here. But yet, it's also a part of history. So how do you reflect on that without being like, we were the bad guys for quite a while? Like, there's a lot of really good German people who just got stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know? So it's complicated. I'm interested in seeing how that unfolds for us as we continue through Germany. We're going to see more of the country.
I'm waiting. Am I good now? Pretty good. Nothing to write home about. Fried fish sandwich. I thought what I got was supposed to be the most popular. Chris said his is the most popular. His has onions on it, which might add a different flavor to it. Mine is pretty much straight up fried fish sandwich. It's good, don't get me wrong. But I don't know that I would have. You have to walk 2 miles to get here like we did.
It's a pretty basic sandwich. Let's see this. The mixture between the bread and the fish is very good. This is very tasty. This is one of the more popular sandwiches to eat while you're in Hamburg. Everybody comes here, they get this. So when you're here, eat like a local. It's very good. If you like fish, this is up your alley.
And the reason we chose to go to that specific place, I actually read about it on a National Geographic article when they were doing a travel guide of Hamburg, and I always trust National Geographic. It was not bad. The food to me was not amazing, like walk out of your way for it. But I think the setting of it was really nice. So it's right on the water in Hamburg. So there's all these cargo ships going by and tour boats, and it's a very busy port city, which is a huge part of its history. We got our food and you stood in line for what, maybe 10 minutes? It wasn't bad. And then we actually sat next to another couple, they're domestic tourists from Bavaria, and they were just so kind. So we got to talk to them for a few minutes. But I think this is a good taste of Hamburg, but I don't mean just the food. Like it was, I'm not knocking it because it was good. It really was good, a good sandwich. Chris enjoyed his. He said his was a little bit more unique than mine. Mine was just the fried fish sandwich. But I think the reason we chose it is because everybody was recommending it. But I'm wondering now if everybody's recommending it because everybody's reading the same recommendations and it's just one of those things that everybody goes to because everybody went to. I'd say maybe explore beyond it. I wish we'd explored beyond it for you. Maybe we will again. I don't know. I'm going to do some more research. So when I write my blog post about Hamburg, I'll have some other recommendations to put in there. But decent fish sandwich. Now we have tickets to go to the Miniature Museum. I'm excited. Let's go.
We are currently in the waiting room for one of the most popular tourist things to do here in Hamburg. Apparently over 20 million people have visited. I'm excited because this is right up my alley. Not because I like miniatures, but because it's kind of kishy, touristy. Like I love stuff like this. But Sarah, where are we?
We're at the Museum of Miniatures. Sorry, it's been a really long day of walking. I'm just really excited that for a second they have free Cokes because that sounded so good. So we're just hanging out in the waiting room, getting ready to go in. Our time is at 8:30. This museum is open at what time? Midnight? It's 1 a.m. some nights. I've never seen a museum open that late. I'm really not sure what to expect because in my mind, I think like how cool can a bunch of little things really be? They're just really small. This place has raving reviews. It has like over 10,000 reviews on Google, high ratings. And then we read on their website that dogs are allowed too. And we said, okay, let's do this. Because usually when we do museums, we have to go in one at a time because of Kramer, because most museums do not allow dogs, obviously. So here we are on a Sunday night, going to the Museum of Miniatures.
Oh, I cannot wait to film this.
All the different variations of essentially the same thing. It's crazy, so much attention to detail. So when we bought our tickets online, it asked what country we were from, and we didn't really understand why they were doing that. But now when we get here, they have a running tally of all the different countries they visited and how many people from each country. So the U.S. is coming in and close to the top, and 250,000 people.
This place is nuts. No wonder they have timed entries. But if Rod Stewart visited this place, you know it's famous. Oh, check this out.
So much happening. I'm so overwhelmed. So this is Formula One in Monaco. So you can like see them going around the track and everything, guys. Yeah. This is so much happening.
The attention to detail to these miniature scales is incredible. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of kids here and it's grabbing all their attentions and it's fun to see the cars go around or the train move. I need to find Sarah.
Kannst gerne nachzählen, ob noch wie 20.000 Figuren sind.
Nein, ich zähle jetzt nicht die 20.000 Figuren.
It's crazy.
I'm gonna see if I can recreate a drone shot with my phone. Both Sarah and I thought we were blacking out at first because all of a sudden the lights go dark. Now the entire city, it's nighttime. So you get to see the Colosseum during the day, and then you get to see it at night. Just above the monks that are rappelling down from this rock cliff, found Superman.
That's so neat. This is my favorite so far. The little planes are moving around the runway. How cool is that? And they do like all different airlines. They've got KLM, they've got Emirates. That's so neat. And then they're doing sound effects like the plane's taking off, like the engines are revving up. They have mission control behind me, and they have cameras on some of these trains, and you can see it going through the trail, and they're watching everything. The amount of detail and just the airport was so cool. Watching the planes fly through the wall like that, I understand the 10,000 reviews on Google. This is really impressive. We have finally arrived to America. I can already tell you this is going to be good. Oh my gosh, watch him. He's lifting his arms up. This is every day in America.
I am America's son, and I'm not the only one. I am America's son, and I'm so inclined to run. I am America's son, and I'm not the only one.
This is a full-blown shootout happening right here with CNN and everything. None of the other countries have had any sort of emergency happening, but ours is like it's having a full-blown shootout or something. I don't know. It's a gunfight. This is how they see us.
You literally push a button and they will start shooting. Jeez Louise. So we just wrapped up our time in the miniature museum. Hey, it's definitely worth the price.
It is fun. It's really busy. The signage was not great. People were going both directions. You have to go out the same way you came in. It was a little bit chaotic, but it was really cool too. I really didn't know. I was like, is it really going to be worth the $20 or €20 or whatever it was to get in? And I actually think it was, but I think my favorite part was the airport. They had like all these different planes taxiing, and they'd have them like landing and taking off, but it's like they had a real air traffic control. Then they had the board of like what ATC would be saying was like the plane model of what it was supposed to be and like where it was going, what airline. It was really neat. It's well done.
Very, very well done. The America section, as an American, I have some qualms with. Mostly whoever visited America did the West Coast from California, Utah, and then they went to Florida. And Vegas. They didn't include New York. They didn't include any other thing on the East Coast.
Well, they included Mount Rushmore.
They did include Mount Rushmore. But I think the thing that got me was that out of all the countries and everything, like there wasn't, and I don't know if they meant offense to this or anything, but they were having like this shootout.
A gunfight.
A gunfight. They had the SWAT team on the highway and everything. Every other country that they displayed didn't have anything like that.
To my knowledge, I didn't see anything.
Like even the display of Hamburg, doesn't have any of the graffiti. So it.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
But then they had a gunfight for the States, and I kind of felt like, yes, there have been issues, and there continue to be issues, but there's always more good than bad. I actually saw somebody post something yesterday, and it was a really good quote. It's like, if you want to hate America, watch the news. If you want to love America, drive across it. And for someone who's driven across the country, the U.S., we've done the Great American Road Trip from coast to coast in the U.S. well over a dozen times now. I think we're more like 15 or 16 times. There's so much more out there. Like, granted, they gave a large chunk to one country like the U.S. This is not the U.S. We didn't expect a massive display. They did a pretty large display for the U.S. But there's so much more beyond that. So you have to take the Great American Road Trip, or just get out there and drive beyond the main cities, because it is not what is on the news. I can promise you that.
And the same is true for over here. Like what you see on the news is not what we're experiencing over here, because it's been fantastic.
It's true. I'm exhausted though, so now I'm gonna go see the back of my eyelids. Let's go.
This museum stays open, like we said, till midnight and 1 a.m. And I thought that maybe there'd be a few people here, but it'd be, teetering off. It is jam-packed.
It's sold out like every single hour. They do give discounts if you come later in the evening. It's like 30% discount if you go like after 11 p.m. But it wasn't worth it to us to save $3 to stay up, or $6. Like, I would rather go to bed at a decent time. So this is the first monument I've seen about World War I and II since being in Germany. I know there's probably plenty, but like this one, it actually was erected after World War I, and they didn't call it the heroes of the war. They dedicated it to the fallen of the war. And then during the 1930s and during the Hitler's era, they actually removed it and then put up an eagle instead. And then in 1949, after the war, and things were turning to the real Germany again, they re-put it back up here and dedicate it to the World War I and II fallens. They don't call it the heroes, they call it to those fallen, because they are still lives lost in the war. It's pretty neat. It's been there for a long time, and I like how they kind of angled that as lives lost, not heroes. You know what I mean? We weren't going to feature this because it's not really in like downtown Hamburg, which is sort of what we focused on. It's like all the more touristy places, but we thought it's probably worth our time to, it'd probably be best to feature places outside of the main like touristy areas of the city, because Hamburg is lovely, especially when you get outside the city. Like, these neighborhoods go on for a long time because it's a good-sized city. And just off the S1, which is the tram line that we've been taking in and out of the city from our campsite, we just hopped off and decided to get lunch in a quiet neighborhood. And we got these poke bowls. So I got one with salmon. Chris got one with, what did you get, salmon too?
Yeah, salmon.
Salmon, but different kinds of salmon. But it's got carrots and mango and avocado and cucumber and all that. So we wanted something kind of quiet, a little healthy, and sort of relaxing. So we found this little place, and then we also spotted a soft serve ice cream shop just down from it. So that might be our not so healthy stop after this. But just enjoying like the quiet neighborhood versus the busy city for a few minutes. And then this is kind of our last stop on our way out of town. We were heading back to our camper to head on to the next spot. But Hamburg is more than just the main tourist stuff. The neighborhoods are really nice too.
Hamburg, you've been delightful to be in. We're excited about this ice cream. Excited to get on the road. See ya.